In the beginning, it seemed like nothing more than ordinary silence settling over the small colony of Marrowfield, a place hidden in the folds of fog-covered hills where families knew each other's names. Children played under dim streetlights, and every evening the smell of bread and kerosene lamps filled the narrow lanes. Yet one by one people began to vanish. First a milkman who left his cycle leaning against a fence never to return. Then a pair of siblings whose room was discovered with their beds still warm and curtains swaying, though no windows were open. And then entire households dissolved into nothing but cold dinner plates on tables and shoes left by doors. And whispers grew in the colony that something unspeakable had taken root beneath their very foundations, though no one could explain the strange scratching sounds that crept through walls at night, or the way stray dogs barked furiously at empty houses. And when I, a young man who had returned after years away to visit his aunt, began documenting the disappearances in my notebook, I noticed that those who had gone missing were all tied by bloodlines, distant or close, to three particular families, my own relatives. Yet no one dared to suspect them because they were the ones who appeared the most helpful in the search parties, offering lanterns and food and sympathy. But I felt unease each time I watched my uncle's smile linger too long or my cousin's eyes gleam when another neighbor vanished. And soon I discovered that beneath the colony there was a vast network of forgotten tunnels built centuries ago for smuggling, now concealed by locked cellars and false walls. And I followed the faint sound of chanting that echoed from the earth, crawling through dirt passages until I found a chamber lined with broken mirrors, rusted chains, and dried wreaths of flowers turned black. And there stood my own blood, my aunt, my cousins, even my frail grandmother, draped in veils of ash, circling the pale bodies of those who had been taken, their eyes wide with devotion as they recited prayers to something older than words, something whose shadow writhed against the stone as if the walls themselves breathed. And in that moment, I realized the vanishings were not random. They were sacrifices, offerings to a presence that promised my relatives eternal power if they fed it the colony piece by piece. And I would have screamed, but my cousin's hand clamped my mouth, dragging me into the circle, telling me that it was finally my turn to join the family in their true inheritance, that the colony was merely a herd and we were the shepherds chosen by the dark. And as they raised their knives fashioned from bone, I saw the truth in the faces of those bound to the floor. They were not dead yet, but suspended in a half-life, drained of voice yet staring at me with pleading eyes, doomed to remain as vessels for the thing that coiled in the shadows. And I thought of running, but the tunnels bent like a maze alive, no path leading back to the surface, only deeper into the stench of earth and iron. And the chanting rose higher until it was no longer my relatives' voices but something behind them, speaking through them, using them as hollowed instruments. And I understood then that the colony was already lost, that no search party or police report would ever uncover the truth, because the truth lived in blood ties, in veins carrying curses disguised as kinship. And as the knife pressed against my chest, I realized the final horror, that those missing had not been chosen at random but by lineage, and my return to Marrowfield was not coincidence but destiny, for I had been marked since birth to either join them or feed the hunger they served. And as the stone chamber quaked with unseen wings, I made my choice to scream into the abyss, knowing that my voice would never rise again in the quiet colony, above where houses still stood waiting for more doors to remain forever unopened.